Welcome everyone to the New Thought Center of Kealakekua here on the island of Hawaii. Coming to you today from my studio. My name is Laria, and it is my great pleasure and joy to be with you today. I've had the gift of being with you there on the lanai in community and also from the keyboard, and this is my first time being with you in this capacity, and it's really lovely to be here. So thank you and welcome, one and all. I am going to begin today with a bit of sound, with music, and what really came through was that I would like to welcome us all into a space of receiving. So as I sing this, if the word I comes through, I would love for you to put yourself into that space, you being the I that is speaking this invocation, singing, toning this invocation. Feel free to sound and tone along if that's part of your practice or something that is grounding, centering for you. Yeah. Also welcome to my crystal in paradise with the alchemy singing bowls who are going to join with us today in the gifting of us receiving what we are, in the gifting of us receiving this incredible abundance and flow of life that is actually first present as all that we are expressing in the world, and then greets us, folds back into us from the abundance around us in the world, like so many waves coming to the shore and back again, and that ongoing gift of receiving. So yeah, a couple of the bowls that want to sing this beautiful aqua aura gold Lemurian seed, and this one I call the kiss of Hawaii. It's tanzanite. And this beautiful super grade that just arrived in the studio this week. So here we go. I invite you to take a deep breath. To be infinitely present in this eternal now moment as you soften and open into the chambers of your heart. As you gift yourself with the presence of you. And in that gifting and receiving of the presence of you, you open to receive everything around you. I receive continue with a few more songs of the piano, so I'll meet you over there in just a moment, and we'll go from there. So glad you're here. So I'll share a few songs with you today. The first one is a remake of a tune by Martin Smith, I Could Sing of This Love Forever. And the other two are tunes I've written, You Are Light and Space of Infinity. So I invite you just to fall open maybe. Over the mountains and the seas, the river runs with love so free. I open up my heart, let this song set me free. I'm happy to be in this world. I will daily leave my song. I will always sing of love that goes on and on, and I could sing of this love forever. I could sing of this love forever. I sing of this love, sing of this love forever. Over the mountains and the seas, the river runs with love so free. I open up my heart is open, my heart is open and free. I could sing of this love forever. I sing of this love forever. I sing of this love, sing of this love forever. You are light, you are whole, you are perfect in every way. You are infinite divinity. Oh, let your heart be free. We are light, we are whole, we are perfect in every way. We are infinite divinity. Oh yes, our hearts are free, What is freedom within me but the love that I am, but the love that we are. I am light, I am whole, I am
where infinity moves, infinite harmony, infinite grace, infinite power, infinite wisdom, infinite love.
So often in the New Thought service on Sunday mornings, we begin with a question. Well, we begin with many things, but one of those is a question. So the question that came to me as I readied myself to be with you in this presence was, what are the core qualities of you, of your being and your presence? So I'm in this question, I'm looking actually at the transcendent nature of presence, of God, of divinity, of source and power living through you. And what are those core qualities? And specifically, how do they express through you in this life? So I'll give you just a moment, kind of steeping in the question, a core essence of you. If you were going to say, you know, this is a core essence of an energetic quality, an aspect of divinity, of all it is, of creation, that I'm aligned with, that in this lifetime I'm very resonant with. And what is that? And then how does it express through you in your life? So I'm going to give you a little example, like for myself. Expression through sound is one of the, I would say one of the most powerful alignments that I experience in this lifetime. But until a certain point, it was a little bit off kilter. It actually, that's not really true. It was totally beautiful in a different kind of iteration. So I was a classical singer and music professor, and I used my voice every day, and I performed, and you know, it was like training. It was like being an athlete. So you rarely took a day off. And you knew that you needed the rest for the voice, but truly if you were conditioning, which it really was, for a recital or a big performance, you were on a regimen. It was quite a thing. And not only that, there was a certain box that classical singing and sound wanted to fit into that made it the most valued expression of that thing. And we knew that, we know that, that's part of that realm, and it's beautiful. It's part of what makes it powerful, and so it's what makes a soprano voice that's not huge like mine be able to carry all the way over an orchestra into the back of a hall. So it's a beautiful art. Well, one time I was in Bali with a beautiful friend and soul brother of mine, and I had partnered with him to bring people on a journey there to meet with his healing family of shamans and high priests and priestesses, healers, amazing, amazing people. And we don't ever name them because we don't want it to turn into Eat, Pray, Love. So I'm there, and I'm working with this one shaman who's particularly close to my heart, and he's just this massive God space of presence. He's just like, yeah, such a beautiful soul embodiment in this man. A man who actually died for 8 hours and then came back in this new iteration. Now that's interesting, because that perhaps is what's happening to our world right now. I'll come back to that. So he's there with me, and he looks at me and he says, "So, you sing every day?" Yeah, I do. He said, and does that bring you so much joy? And I answered straight up honestly, and I said, actually, no, it doesn't. Because I didn't explain this to him. I just said, actually, no, it doesn't. It's actually one of the greatest areas of conflict of my life. And the reason for that was because I visited my inner critic on myself the most fiercely around my singing. And it didn't really matter. You all know this one. It doesn't matter how much praise you get, how much, quote, success, how many accolades. If you have that inner relationship of severity and abuse, really, because you're always focused much louder on what you're not doing or what's not good enough than on everything you're doing that is this incredible, glorious, beautiful expression of what and who you are. So I just said, actually, no. And he goes, And he starts in doing what he does. And he's chanting and he's blowing and he's patting and he's moving energy and he's journeying, right, as shamans do. And we come out of that and he looks at me and he says, so, how's your heart? I was like, oh, my heart feels like singing. And he goes, so sing. So I do. I start in doing kind of like what I did at the very beginning of this presentation of just singing. And we're in this tiny little room sitting on the cement floor and it just reverberates and fills the room and he's just right there with me, like so, infinitely focused on the presence and the unfolding and the energy and the freedom coming through. And I finish and we're all kind of sitting there just stunned because I don't know what happened. He pretty much knows what happened. And he's all twinkly-eyed and he's looking at me and he goes, go again! So I started again. And this glorious sound is bursting forward. And in that moment, partnering with him in that beautiful work, my voice became really, truly free for the first time in my life. And of course it was a shift. It was a juncture point because up to then, as a university professor and as a classical performer, it's beautiful and I loved my work and I loved my students and it was meaningful and amazing and fun. And then something shifted and I no longer wanted to put my voice back in the box. And I couldn't actually. And within a few months, I retired from classical singing and I began giving my gift, this expression, this core quality of soul, into full alignment and faith and obedience, really. And I love those words in this context because they're so expansive. Into full alignment with the soul's expression. And I retired, actually, from classical singing within, just a few months. Did my last gig, that was it. Left the university, that was it. So for you, I know there's this core quality in this essence. And you know what it is, and you may also know ways in which it is beautifully serving and functioning in the world in your life for the benefit of you, the planet, others, and perhaps there is more power in that gift than you've yet recognized. Perhaps there is a more resonant alignment and coherence with the truth of your core being that is interested in unfolding perhaps right now in the time that we're in. Now, this is the thing that I've been noticing, is that there's this potent potential in the world, in us right now, to strengthen, to actually birth a new core. And I called it, in the title, I think, for today, Birthing a New Essence, which it is. That feels to me more like the energies that are assisting us in this. And I'm realizing, and have realized, and have been really beautifully playing with and exploring and embodying, anchoring that into the person so that the truly undiluted gift comes through. It's like an alchemy. It really is like turning lead into gold, and lead is beautiful, and think of all the things that lead does. And what we're getting to is this refinement, ever and ever more clear and pristine and powerful and aligned and potent for you and all of us to actually live as the full truth of what we are. And this is always the invitation, of course, right? This is nothing new. And yet, the time we're in is really new. It's really different now. You don't need me to tell you that. It's both wondrous and incredibly weird. So, Well, this same shaman, I remember in one of his teachings that he shared, he said, the most important connection, and I think of this again as like resonance and alignment, is with God, is how he said it. And we can call that universe, source, creator, chi, all that is, give it your name. And he said most people will mistake the primary connection for something else. It might be a relationship. It might be a job. It might be your relationship with abundance. It might be even a creative pursuit. That truly was it. I remember in my younger years feeling, for me it was, music is God. Music, and I went through a phase of Beethoven is God, and Bach was God, and of course they're all God because we're all God. And yet they were surrogates. My passion and my love and my expression and my honing and refining of the art was actually all a surrogate for coming into core resonant alignment and resonance, and then everything else birthing out of that. You see what I'm getting at here? It's actually about the nature of Genesis. It's the nature of flow. And when the core choice and alignment is with what I would call presence, and we all know this one as well, pure presence for me is unconditional love. It's the God space. It's the all that is. So as my first choice, my first alignment becomes with this core presence and its particular qualities and gifts, then it's free to express in a new way. Yeah. So what I notice is that as we're searching for this core resonance, we tend to reference our lives externally. Okay, so let's look at a few of the ways that we reference life externally. Through the things that we hear, through the things that we read, through the things that we say, through the things that we think. I'll get more to that one. That is definitely an external reference point, just saying, for me. I'll bring that one forward for you to consider. The things that we experience, the things of our story, of our narrative, of our life. The weather, and especially loudly, the unfolding of world events which come to us through all of these interfaces that I just mentioned. Speaking, hearing, seeing, reading, thinking. And generally, those external reference points are really loud. And they become the things that define our world, yes? They just do. How many of us are truly internally defined and generated and referenced from this still point within? Going through our days, 100% of the time, that's what we are creating from. Okay, so right now, and again, you don't need me to tell you, the volume on the external reference points, the external influences is so loud. So it's part of why, as I said to my mom the other day, she said, well, how are you? And I said, I'm just living my very weird new version of normal. And so it gets weirder out there. It just does. And those of us that are empathic, those of us that are energetically attuned, simply going to the post office or the grocery store is something that can just slam us, yes? I was amazed actually to notice the way my head just started hurting one day, and I stayed pretty sovereign. However, this is an unprecedented time, energetically meaning I stay immune in a sense. That's one of my practices, is to actually hold presence that is consistent and strong in the midst of external reference points. But I'm telling you, they've been slamming me. And I have some suggestions for you. I'll get to that toward the end of this time together, because there are ways that we can be different with that. The important thing maybe to know right now is that in this time, those external reference points have largely been wiped out, except for what we're choosing. In other words, the things that were routine, that you did all the time because that's what you did it, even the pleasureful things, right? Around here, hopping in the ocean and sitting on the beach, taking a walk along the coast. Those things have been wiped out, and yet the input from the external reference points is really loud through other sources. And at the same time, the routine that feels stable, normal, all of that is gone. And now is a new one, and it will keep changing. And again, we all know this. So what I noticed, something maybe some of you've experienced, and I'll just speak to this a little bit, is that when there's a major shift, many of us have experienced this through the death of a loved one, or a divorce, or the loss of a job, or something precious to us, an animal, a relationship, as we've known it. Our energy routes through our system in certain pathways, and just like anything, it gets a flow and a groove. And our own energy system, with the things in our world that are familiar, and that are those external reference points, and they're familiar to us, there's a flow. And there's a certain coherence in that because it's familiar and comfortable. Now, suddenly, these points are removed, the flow can't go the way that it's been going. And so what happens? There's like a bleed out energetically. I'm going to guess that lots of us have felt pretty tired. Lots of us have had body things moving through that we're like, oh my God, when do I just get to feel normal? Lots of us, it takes a lot more effort to do even just the normal things. Well, this bleed out is a very real thing. I first noticed it when I went through a significant loss, and a lot of times it's depression. A lot of times it's feeling off emotionally, and I just had no energy. And I just kept looking at it thinking, where is it all? Well, it was just like draining out of my system. Almost like if you've had a surgery and that organ's been removed and all the blood thinks it should just be going there, and it doesn't have anywhere to go, and it doesn't have any way to get back, and it just dissipates. I watched it again when a certain spiritual teacher I was working with got a severe case diagnosed of melanoma, stage 4. So she took a sabbatical. She said, I'll be gone for 3 months. We were like, what? Only 3 months? Well, she was gone for 6 and came back well. But what I watched was all the people that were satellites around her energy field and had threads of connection. She severed all of those, and everybody was like just flailing for a while. Okay, so that's a little context for some of the things that we may be experiencing that are super challenging and incredibly gifting. Because remember how I was saying those are external reference points. Those are ways that we reference our life from something outside of ourselves. And we're being invited to reference from deep within. I mean, again, you've probably been hearing this from a variety of sources. You've thought it yourself. But how profound it really is. Because along with this, this bowl wants to just play. I'll just give it a tone. Along with this rerouting that is externally sort of sourced, it has to happen. There's also this gifting of these incredible pristine energies. Similarly to the way that the smog has cleared in places because of on the planet, because there isn't so much pollution, people aren't traveling in their vehicles, and there's a clarity of vision. This is what I've seen energetically, is that there has been a massive clearing of the field, the debris field, the external reference points, the things that keep everybody busy, the thought patterns that we usually run in, and suddenly the strings are flailing around, but we have a new opportunity in that, because with that comes this clarity, this pristine clarity. I watched one day the earth open in two and this new energy come forth. First it was like an earthquake and a birthing, and then it was an experience of this high, new pristine vibration that some of my friends called a silver ray, and others the white Christed ray, and this beautiful energy. I just perceived it and communed with it and recognized that in the unhooking of our patterns and our ways, it makes room for something new. And it's not just that it makes room for something new in us, it makes room for this massive thing that's kind of, in my perception, been waiting in the wings, just ready to gift us with pure, pristine energies of creation and embodiment and presence. To me, they feel like ecstasy. They feel like this incredible pleasure through the heart center. That feels good, yeah, to breathe that in. Okay, yeah. So there's this dual thing going that I saw, this incredibly upward moving spiral that is just will not be stopped. It will continue to move, to birth, to expand, to grow, to radiate. And then there's this downward one going at the same time where there's more chaos and there's more fear and there's more constriction in the field. It just feels like a vice grip on my head when I perceive it. And I, in my own practice, allow everything to be what it is. And in pure witness and presence to those downward spirals, those intensities into more constriction, I watch that they get to complete themselves and be what they are all the way to utter completion. This other direction also gets to be what it is all the way into, it actually doesn't go to completion, it just keeps going. The other one I see eventually incinerates itself, dissolves, and becomes the pure source of creation to make a new choice, much like lava rock, from this incredible destruction that comes from a volcano, and then within the rock of the lava is this infinitely rich potential for growth and new life. It takes a little time to become fertile soil. We know that. So one of the things that we can do during this time is if there's something in us that is completing in a downward spiral, we can have complete compassion and patience with it. You know, we don't have to feel good every day. We don't have to hold the presence of, I know everything is for the highest good and the perfection and the blah, and of course it is, but you know what? Sometimes as humans we don't feel like that. We just feel crappy. Okay? We let those things go and be, and we keep holding space for them, bearing witness to them from this other thing that's happening. Okay? I actually, I created a release ceremony. It's like completion and creation all in one. And if you're interested in that, just find my info on my website and send me a request. I'm happy to share it. It's a PDF that can walk you through. If you want to work with these spiraling energies really directly, it's quite powerful. So, but we get to have compassion and patience with ourselves when we're in a downward spiral. And we get to continue to hold the long view of a bigger space, a bigger reality, a bigger truth coming into view for us. Okay. So what I notice is if we tune into those external reference points, they really drain us, and they try to go in those old routes in a sense, and they just continue to be an energy drain. So we can allow our tuning into that to cease, to not be as strong. We can return to the core qualities of presence that we are. What was it again? What was the answer to that question? Oh yeah, these are the core qualities of presence, and here's how they express in my life, in some ways. And perhaps they'll find a whole new way, as mine did, to be more purely aligned with this core, this presence that we are. Okay, I'm going to take just a moment and feel into all of you listening and see if there's anything else that would like to come through. Okay, it's really loud. You're really not messing up. You're really not, the word is, it's okay if you feel completely strange, not okay, any of the things you're feeling. It is not an indication of the ultimate path that you're on, or your spiritual perseverance, or fortitude, or enlightenment. No, it's actually just a really challenging time. Take a nice deep breath. And the next piece coming through for all of us, nothing's required of you now. It's interesting, you know, there's that in the beautiful Harry Potter books that I enjoy, because my children were of the age of Harry Potter, actually, when he came around. The room of requirement. Well, you know what? The room of requirement has dissolved in so many ways, and the only way those walls can be rebuilt is if you build them. And you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to require everything of you, that you should eat better, you should exercise more, you should meditate more, you should finish up those projects that you have time for. You're welcome to go in your room of requirement, but I have another suggestion. And that would be that you return to the core qualities of your presence and ask, what is your next step in this moment? What is the action that asks to come forth, if any, in this moment, as you attune so deeply to the core qualities of your essence? And let's draw now upon, drawing meaning align with, these beautiful pristine energies that are here, that are also us. Everything is of the one. And thank God it's also differentiated, so we get to play. It's interesting that way. And let's allow the radiance of what we are here in the heart center to grow and to strengthen. And to move then up through the throat, down through the solar plexus, out through those shoulders, the shoulders, up the neck, to the third eye, crown, down through the sacral chakra and the root. And this radiance is you. It feels good there, is this radiance that we are. And we allow it to commune and connect with the new vibrations that are here. Because for us, in this perception of linear time, they are new. And of course, they've always been here. Everything is now. So let's tap in. And let's reroute the wiring. Oh, beautiful. It's just this most amazing, beautiful light. Let's reroute the wiring so that there is more like an Ouroboros circle in us, complete in and of itself, and completely available to anything that we choose to connect with. Sourced from the pure essence of presence that we are, and available to connect wherever we choose. We are allowing the disintegrations of the connections that have been formed to all of the external reference points. Bye. And the circuitry grows and radiates from within the core essence and presence of what we are, and we allow the forming of the new core. If we choose, if there's something in you that says, yes, this feels good, this feels aligned with what I am, shaking all this off, like a dog, it gets out and it shakes it off. There, that's a lot of more energy moving. You might want to move. And the radiance of the heart. It speaks, it sings, it bees, it loves, it radiates. Is what you are. Whew, that's a good one. Okay, getting bright in here. Good job. All right, nice. Wonder what key I'm in. Let's see, let's keep going. Yeah. Yeah, what I notice is everything is created in a field. Its sources is the energy that it is before it ever appears in physicality, in 3D. So there's always multiple realities going on in any given moment. There's the one that we're already in co-creation with, that has formed sometime back, quote back, in the unified field, the energy of that at the quantum level. And then there's the time when it comes into embodiment, and of course that time frame is completely variable. But what'll happen is we'll have an awareness of this new thing is here. It's here. Why am I not seeing it? Where is it? Come on, help a sister out. Well, tune into the truth of its of the change of it at the quantum level, so that you can begin to embody those vibrations here, wherever we are, quote, now, which is everything now, but you know what I mean, your reference point in linear time, and allow those two to meld. You know, when I was called to the island, like so many of us have been, my spirit got here ahead of my body. It was like the shift happened in the quantum field, made the choice in the physicality, whoop, spirit leapt ahead. It was rough. So one of the things that we can do when this is the beauty of it, when we cease referencing and creating our life externally, we actually can be in multiple spaces on what we would think of as timelines at once, because our vantage point is no longer fixed to what's happening in the world around us, right? We actually move into living as the true interdimensional divine presence that we are, which means I can experience these true present energies of quantum creation in the field that were, quote, last month. I can be here with what's happening now, completely present. I can be energetically present and aware when this is completely complete, because it's no longer personal. This is really the core of aligning with these new energies that have come in and offer us this amazing opportunity. We know this concept. Many of us know this, that there's Christine, the body, the gender, the voice, the qualities, the parents, the genes, the lineage, the story, the traumas, the joys. There's all that stuff in this little 3D package. There's the soul that's perhaps running this body and maybe another or two or seven. Oversoul, sometimes this is called, yeah? And so we have these levels of presence, and this is just great because it's a way that human beings track with things through these descriptions. And what I saw and experienced recently, just in my own awareness, it's always been there. It just happened to come in for a viewing. If you go all the way to what we would call creator source, pure unified field, before any differentiation, that in many universes expresses without ever polarity or duality. Those are great to visit, to be from. We go to this level of pure creator source. And somewhere in between that and what we might call oversoul is another echelon of awareness and presence that is actually fully functional outside the time-space continuum, that is not fixed to even a quote identity of soul or oversoul. That's just what it is and can view from all these different places. So one of the things that in these practices of not externally referencing, working on the new core embodiment, it actually opens us up to be completely present and I guess I would say it would be the vantage point, but it's not even a vantage point because it's not a point. But present in awareness with life through an incredibly elevated space. I think that's all the words that I can even bring forward about that. The energy is so strong that it's got me in a sweat, which is always for me kind of a certain indication of, voltage. All right. So one of the gifts of the time is that we get to move even more deeply into the transcendent presence that we are, because all of these specifics have just dissolved, which is totally amazing. And from there, we can move into choice of creation at the personal level. And you know, I'm just going to say, it's actually not contingent on what's happening around us. It is not contingent. So one of the things I wrote about recently was, it was a silly title of an article called "You're Not a Fish." So you know how when you go into the ocean to swim, most of the fish are still afraid of most of the humans. Like the little ones, you know, the tang or those rainbow ones. And they scurry off if you snorkel near them. Why? Because they're afraid. Okay, we know that, we see them. But those of us who are empathic and super tuned in energetically, we don't really feel their fear. Why not? Well, we're not a fish. But when we go out to the grocery store or the post office here in the middle of this pandemic, I just call it wondrous opening. We feel humans around us. Why? Because we identify as a human. Okay, fair enough. Apparently I am. But as we begin to live from a transcendent presence that's transpersonal and not personal, we don't have to be a fish. You can actually move around in the world and just, I'm not a fish. I'm not a fish. Which actually begs the question, what are you? Back to where we started. What is that core quality of the essence and vibration of you, and how does it express in this life? And if it's not a fish, and if it's not all the external information being fed to you, even from your own thoughts, I better come back to that one, yes? Okay, so if a thought is a thought that you did not choose to think, I'm going to suggest it's not yours. It's literally your radio signal of awareness picking up on information in the field. If you're like, I choose to think about this, that could potentially be your thought. The rest of it, of thinking and of thoughts, is actually external reference point, not you. So we turn down the volume on that too. Oh, we know that one. You're not what you think. Don't believe everything you think. We know that one. But it's really, they're not your thoughts. And the fish is not you either. So what are you? I bet when I asked you that question in the beginning, and I said, you know, this core essence quality of you, nobody said, everything that I think. It's so much bigger than that, isn't it? It's so much bigger. And it's bigger than that. And it's bigger than that. And it only keeps going. Yeah. Amazing, amazing, wondrous time that we're in. So much opportunity. So deeply powerful. And all I can say is you're a rock star for being here and for moving through it. And that is the truth. And so it is. I'm going to meet you at the piano for another song. You know, one of the things, of course, that happens at a Sunday gathering is that there's a time of gifting, right? Of people offering their gifts. And if you're moved to do that, I would really encourage you to do that. There may be a link here in this YouTube down in the description. If not, the New Thought Center of Hawaii, you'll find a place there where you can make a donation because they're bringing this to you. You know, it's really wonderful that this is here and that we are here and that we are connected in this way, even though it's not our first choice. But what is happening right now? Amazing, wondrous stuff. Yeah. So I invite you to participate in that, and I'll meet you back at the piano for another song. All my love to you. This song is by Daniel Nahmad, and it is called One Power. And I know lots of you know it, and it's a good song. You know, a lot of people I work with will say they're afraid of their power. And what we truly are is never afraid of our power, because it is this one thing. It can't actually be turned on itself in any way, or any other part of itself, which we might call someone else. So the power that we are is pure, and it's trustworthy, and it's here. So happy to share this one today. One power.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love, you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. Different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign, it's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for a love that's most deep. It's one power, one power, one power. We are all one power. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love, you and me. You and me. It's good to be what we are. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this time with me today, and for your presence in this now moment and all that you are. From my infinite heart to your infinite heart.
So much love and aloha.